What is up, everybody? We are back here at King Film Sports for the NBA second round playoff predictions. And the NBA first round was pretty good. Did not get a game 7, but got a few long series in there, such as Suns, Pelicans, Mavs, Jazz, Memphis, and Minnesota. Oh, what a series that was. Then you also had the sweep, Celtics, Nets. So somewhat entertaining, but I think the second round will be much better television to watch. And so we start out in the Western Conference where we have the Suns and the Mavs. As you guys may know, in my last prediction, I had the Jazz in 6 over the Mavs because I just didn't know about Doncic's injury. But even without him, they won 2-1, and then they went 2-1 with Doncic in. In this series, I think that the Suns will be able to stop Luka in a few games, and I think that's going to be the difference. Mikal Bridges, Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I think he's going to have his plate full, but I think he will perform in some of those games. Then Chris Paul, absolute masterclass in Game 6 against the Pelicans. I think he has a great series here against the Mavs. I don't really think that anyone can D him up on this Mavs team. Devin Booker is definitely going to be the X factor in this series for the Suns because we just don't really know where his health is at. It didn't look great in Game 6 against the Pelicans coming off of that hamstring injury, but few days extra of rest. Maybe as the series goes along, he kind of gets into it more. And then Ayton down low, I think he might be able to dominate this Mavs team. But the Mavs role players really stepped up against the Jazz. Brunson, Dinwiddie, and then also Maxi Kleber hitting some threes. So I think that there are a couple games that the Mavs are going to heat up against the Suns team. I say this one goes 6, but I have Phoenix winning there. Now we go to the other Western Conference series where we got the Warriors and the Grizzlies. Grizzlies actually do have the home court advantage here, so that might spice some things up. But I do like this Warriors team a little bit more. I had them winning in 5 against the Nuggets, and those first 2 games went pretty flawlessly for them. Then the Nuggets got a bit closer. Game 3, 4, and 5 were all close, but the Warriors did end up winning in gentleman's sweep fashion. Curry, Poole, and Thompson all going off. Now, it started off in the series that Poole and Clay were really carrying the load, but as it wore on, Curry really had to carry that team. And at first, Draymond was doing an excellent job on Jokic, but then the Warriors' inability to defend the big man really caught up to them. Even Boogie Cousins was giving them some good minutes. So I think if the Grizzlies are going to win this series, they have to exploit the Warriors down low with Brandon Clark and then also Steven Adams and then Jaren Jackson as well. It's worth noting that Steven Adams really didn't get much playing time against Minnesota. I think he'll see some more in this series. Then as far as John Morant goes, he has been historically good against the Warriors. You know, last time these two teams played in the play-in, he was great. Also, Dillon Brooks and Desmond Bane, what a series from him against Minnesota. But I just see the Warriors as having too much firepower for this Grizzlies team. There were a couple games in that Denver series where all 3 of Clay, Poole, and Curry heated up. Not to mention Wiggins had a couple good games. I think he plays better in this series. Then you also got Gary Payton II as well. So I see a great series here, but I have the Warriors winning in 6 on their home floor in the Chase Center there. So then you get the Suns, Warriors, great Western Conference Finals matchup. Now we go to the Eastern Conference where we have the Heat Sixers. Now, I predicted this series would happen, and if you guys remember my actual prediction for the entire playoffs, I had the Sixers going to the finals. But a lot has changed here. The Sixers were up 3-0 against this Raptors team. They were making light work of them. Joel Embiid, great shot at the end of Game 3. But then they lost Games 4 and 5. And although they were able to lock it up in Game 6 but with a 35-point win, I think, Harden had a great game. Joel Embiid gets injured. Now, I don't know about his status. He might be out this entire series, although I doubt it. I do think, though, he missed the first 2 to 3 games, though. So maybe the Sixers can pick one of those up, but I'm not sure about that there. Give me the Heat to win this series in 7 games. I think it'll be a long series, but I just think that without Joel Embiid, this Sixers team really has no direction. I mean, Tyrese Maxey was great in the first couple of games against Toronto, but then he kind of waned as it went on. And James Harden is a bit inconsistent, and I think the Heat will throw everything at him especially if the Sixers don't have Embiid. So I really don't like the matchup for the Sixers without Embiid. But the Heat have some issues themselves because Kyle Lowry and Victor Oladipo were really carrying them against the Hawks. Then you also had Max Strus and Tyler Hero. But Jimmy Butler, he had a couple great games in there, but he did miss Game 5. I think that's a bigger story than a lot of people are thinking. And as much as the Heat contained Trae Young, that series could have easily been 6 or 7 games. There were a couple close games in there that the Hawks ended up losing there. So I think the Heat win this 1 in 7. It's going to be close. And I think Joel Embiid's health really dictates the series. But for now, give me the Miami Heat in 7 games there. And then we finally get to the Bucks and the Celtics. Some people are calling this one the Eastern Conference Finals already. Not so sure about that at this point. But it's going to be a great series. I have this one going 7 games either way. And again, you have some great complications with the health because Middleton, some are saying he could be at the entire series. Some are saying that he could be back for something like a Game 6 or a Game 7. I'm not sure about that, but this Bucks team did play great without Chris Middleton in the last 3 games of the series. Now you have to qualify that as they were going against the Bulls. The Bulls were not able to perform against any good teams all year, so not really a surprise there. But I know that Giannis is going to drop like 30 points a game in this series. I know that the Celtics contained Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, but Giannis is a lot different. He plays a lot bigger. He'll always be able to get near the basket, even if the Celtics have great big men like Robert Williams. I think that Giannis is still going to have a great series. It's really the supporting cast for Milwaukee that I think dictates this series. Grayson Allen averaged 20 points a game in the last 3 games of the series. If he does something similar, I think that gives Milwaukee a great chance to win this series. You're also going to need Drew Holiday to give them some big-time minutes and some big-time scoring. And then someone like a Bobby Portis is also going to have to step up for this Milwaukee team to play good in the playoffs. And then also Javon Carter, if he's able to hit a few threes for this team, that would be massive. But the Celtics team really impressed in the first round against the Nets. And I don't think this series is going to be as easy. This Bucks team has everything that this Nets team didn't. They have all of the chemistry. They have all of the championship metal from their run last year, whereas the Nets had none of that. And so I think this one goes 7 games. In TD Garden in Game 7, give me the reigning defending champions in the Milwaukee Bucks to get it done. That might be a little bit of a controversial opinion there, as I think a lot of people will take the Celtics, especially with Middleton's status being injured right now. But I think this Bucks supporting cast will do just enough to carry them over the hump against the Celtics team. But out east, I think we do see 2 7-game series. And in the Western Conference, still get 2 6-game series. So I think we will have some great matchups here and some very entertaining basketball in the second round. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments, and I will see you all in the next one.